very happy to have her. And we don't have a lengthy agenda today, but I think since so many people are already here, we can go ahead and get started. I am required to ask someone to make a motion to approve tonight's agenda. Can somebody second? Okay, great. I also am obligated to report that Ethel Sheffer, who's a new member, and Melissa Rosenberg are both attending this meeting via Zoom because of ill health. I do not see Melissa on as yet. Alex, is she on?
Not yet. Oh wait, actually, yeah, Melissa's here. Yeah.
Hi, Melissa. Okay, so we have a few items on our agenda, and the first one is sort of an addendum to the last resolution that we were presented by DPR about Dinosaur Playground. So Margaret and your team, please go ahead.
Hi, sorry. Oh my goodness. Oh dear. Sorry.
What?
I had to. Oh my God.
There's an echo.
Yeah, she's got two devices on at the same time, which results in this kind of reverb. So maybe she has her phone on in conjunction with her laptop. That's all. Nothing to figure out.
Okay. I'm back. Yes, that was exactly it. I was having a hard time logging in on my computer. I had to do a lot of updates, so I logged in on my phone as well. So can you hear me? Is this good?
Perfect.
Do you still have an echo?
No, it's perfect.
Okay, great. So, and I'm going to be passing over to the presenters in a minute. So as Natasha said, we were here on October the 16th. We presented the design for Dinosaur Playground. You all approved it and we had a resolution. So you're our first port of call after our Parks Department interior sort of approvals. So from you, we then went to Landmarks Preservation Commission and then to the Public Design Commission. During the course of those approvals, sometimes there are little changes. In a lot of instances, we wouldn't come back because those are not major changes. But because we're coming for another item, we felt this was a good opportunity to really get you fully on board with these changes to the design. So there's some sort of fairly relatively minor changes as a result of comments from LPC and PDC. Other than that, again, as we progressed with the design, we discovered that we had some access issues. We've worked hard. The designers have worked hard to work on accessibility into both the park and into the playground. But having done that, we had then lost an entrance, in making it ADA and purely pedestrian. We discovered that we had then lost an entrance that we use for our small utility vehicles. So we then went back and sort of Star White House looked at their design again to try to sort of combine both pedestrian and also this small vehicle access. So talking you through that, showing you this evolving design or the status of the design at the moment is Ryan Castro from Star White House. He is an associate from Star White House, and I believe Steve Whitehouse, who's a principal, is also on the call. I know that John Harold is on the call as well, and probably Wes Hamilton. So as we, Ryan will talk you through the design, but then we are all here to answer questions at the end of the presentation.
Thanks, Margaret.
So
and I just, okay, can you hear me? Great.
Yeah.
Okay, and before we dive in, I just wanted to highlight that, although we'll be focusing on the newly proposed maintenance path, we'll also, update you on some of the changes we made to the design, based on the LPC review and Parks feedback that Margaret just described to you. So, as you know, there's an existing non-ADA ramp, which gives access to the maintenance and emergency vehicles directly to the playground. And the new design requires providing an ADA accessible entrance, and so the vehicular ramp was removed to maximize that space and would be relocated away from where pedestrians would be entering and exiting Riverside Park. So shown here is the previously approved plan from last November. One thing we wanted to highlight was that this plan shows a curved planter layout at the play area, but Landmarks suggested we explore keeping the planter straight to preserve the historic symmetry and formality of the design. And you see those changes reflected here. So that's one of the things we wanted to highlight. As shown in the lower left is the newly proposed 10-foot wide asphalt path, which, as mentioned earlier, is located to give both maintenance and emergency vehicles quick and easy access. And just showing you that without the proposed path, maintenance and emergency vehicles shown in red would have to drive eastbound on West 97th Street, away from the park, turn south on West End Avenue, and finally westbound along West 96th under the Riverside Drive overpass, where they would be able to enter the park on the south end. And similarly, smaller maintenance vehicles, such as the park's gators, which can't drive on the streets, would have to enter Riverside Park at the nearest ramp, which is between 102nd and 103rd Streets, and traverse southbound. And so the following images show the approximate location of where this maintenance path will be located. The image on the left indicates where we anticipate removing fence panels for the entrance. The following plans are side-by-side comparisons showing the existing conditions on the left and the new path shown on the right. The bird's eye view shows the relationship of the maintenance path in context to the rest of the design. Shown here are the previously approved site materials. The 1939 benches were swapped out for the concrete type B bench, which are the same as the existing benches that are in the playground right now. And I'll end the presentation here with the proposed plan as reference. Nice and simple.
Thank you. Is that that's the entirety of the presentation?
That's the entirety.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to open it up for questions in the room, but before that, I do want to welcome Margaret Birnbaum, the president and CEO of Riverside Park Conservancy. Hi, welcome.
Hi, I'm just here in case there are questions.
Right. Welcome. And
Because I saw you were having it hybrid and
yes,
was excited to come in person.
yeah, very excited to have you here.
Yeah, it's very nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice to see all of you.
And are you also here from the Riverside?
This is my husband.
Oh,
You can say them in a way.
welcome. Everybody is welcome. Yeah, thank you. So we'll go around the room and then we'll go to Zoom for questions. Does anybody here have any comments or questions for the presenters? No?
Not really, except to ask, I'm sorry that there isn't a rendering or something, so we could see it in, or at least an elevation, because, I mean, it doesn't look like, it doesn't really look like it's much at all, right?
We saw the renderings last time they were here,
I
and
know, but I mean,
all they're doing is adding a
like
ramp for the
like a,
service vehicles.
yeah,
Yeah.
no questions. Yeah.
Is there anybody from the community board on Zoom who has a question or a comment?
I don't see any hand raised.
Well,
or anybody in the Q&A.
just, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
just a quick comment about the specific changes on the for the path for the the movement of the maintenance materials and the changes. It's a very good change in my view, because for many years, and I live right here, and my daughter and we would go to the playground, and I still walk in the park as much as I can there. It has been a rather awkward and conflicting way for pedestrians, smaller people, and the parks maintenance people trying to move into the park. So I think that into and also to the playground. As I understand it here, I think that it seems simple, but a long overdue and welcome improvement.
Thank you,
think it
Ethel.
will also, I think it'll be also really good for cyclists entering the park. You know, the configuration of the entrance that Ryan has designed, you know, with the ADA, you know, and respecting the historic integrity of those stairs, you know, is really going to be great for pedestrians. But, you know, that would be a little bit, you know, of a conflict if we, you know, and as you know, we have a lot of cyclists coming into the park to go down to the Greenway on the waterfront. So I think it is going to be a very useful entrance because this is a pretty heavily used entrance to the park.
Alex, is there anybody from the public or anyone else who has raised a hand on this issue?
No.
Okay. So you know, we had already, as you know, passed a resolution to approve the overall renovation plan for this playground back in October, November. And in my opinion, this is a very minor, but also very sensible and practical change, very important for the safety of park employees and cyclists all around. So I had a chat with Max earlier, and what we've decided is that we'll do a separate new resolution specifically for this particular change. And Daria and I will draft that over the next couple of days. But I think tonight over here, it seems that everybody is in favor of this change. So I would like to make a motion to sort of call the vote. So everybody in favor, please raise your hand. 5. And online, Melissa and Ethel, I'm assuming your vote yes.
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 Okay, anybody against? That's 0. Anybody abstaining? Not voting for cause? That's 0. Any non-committee board members who are here, but I guess Beverly is here, but I don't think Beverly can vote.
No, I'm not eligible. Thank you.
Okay. All right, so that was it. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Thank you,
And
everyone.
thank you. Since Merit is here.
Thank you all.
Thank you. You're all welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, but we would understand if you have other things to do on a Monday evening. So I just wanted to introduce you to our team, which is why don't you guys go ahead? This is my new co-chair, Daria.
Yes, hi.
Nice to meet you.
It's great to meet you. I'm the new co-chair. I'm really excited to be in this role. I'm a parent of 3 school-age boys. I've been a member of the community board community for I think over 16 years now, and I care very deeply about the issues related to parks and environment. So I'm thankful for this opportunity and also grateful of the board that have acted as such great resources for me too. It's nice to meet you.
So nice to meet you. Sounds like you'll be a wonderful continuing addition to the group.
I'm Linda Alexander, longtime member of Community Board 7, and welcome.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Avi. I'm a relatively new member, so I'm still trying to learn the ropes, but really honored and nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Bobby.
Hi, Barbara Adler, also a longtime member, very familiar to me. I was co-chair with Natasha for a few years, but then fortunately or unfortunately, I got elected to the executive committee and I was not able to do both, so.
I remember you were stepping down just as I started last. meeting,
Right,
So we
that's
kind of,
right,
I
yeah.
was co-chair of Parks Committee many years ago. with
That's
Bob
right,
Burton.
that's right, yeah. I have a long history with CB7.
I was on that committee too.
In between.
And we have two members online. There's Melissa Rosenberg and Ethel Sheffer. And of course, Barry.
Okay.
well, thank you all for letting me join. I just saw that it was going to be in person tonight. And I'll just add that the Conservancy is so excited about the plans for Dinosaur. Margaret and the team from Star White House have just done a phenomenal job in terms of really thinking through the the resiliency measures that should be at the Conservancy, or especially as to obviously we know the playground needs major overhaul, but also in shepherding all of the landscapes in the park, thinking about even this new entrance is extremely important to how the water flow will affect the playground. Flooding has been such a concern, and the design really helps with a number of different ways to help redirect and recapture the water. So we're very excited about the rain gardens and other aspects. And then I will say we also were very focused on changing this entrance way so that there would be an access for vehicles to get safely into the park and not have to interact with the flow of pedestrian traffic. So great addition, and really thank Margaret and everyone for.
They're great. The team is great. I was just wondering if there's any other update on maybe the restroom situation? No.
We will continue to work with Councilmember Brewer on funding for that, but it is as
Expensive.
major undertaking. The cost of restrooms in all parks in the city, especially when dealing with the age of the structures.
And also the age of the people who use them. Going to a playground with like small children and not having a working restroom is challenging.
Yes.
I'm going to chime in and just add that what we are looking at is a way to do, for want of a better word, a cosmetic do-over of the bathrooms themselves, the public areas, to make them more welcoming, cleaner, brighter. We're well aware that they're really unpleasant places to visit, and looking at how to do just that, shy of doing the whole building, which remains a large nut we're going to have to crack financially, but to do just the bathrooms so that the experience of going there is what you'd want it to be.
So, what is, are you in the process of determining an approach and funding, and in what area? And if you are, and if we could work with you on Riverside Park, I think it would be very helpful to be working together on lobbying for funding and on the design. It's almost minimal that the bathrooms should look better. I mean, they're crummy and have been crummy for a very long period of time. And it's been a sad thing. And since I think it's recognized, short of building new comfort stations, as you just said, we surely can and should upgrade and improve those. So I would suggest, if you don't already have it, that if in the Parks Department and with the Conservancy, if you're beginning to work on an approach for improvement along the lines that you briefly described, it would be very good to, at an early time, to work with the community board and the communities in fronting on and using Riverside Park, with the view being improve the bathrooms that are there. It's been too long, and I'm going to finally say, it's a disgrace, and it shouldn't be in this grand park.
Thank you, Ethel.
Thank you, Ethel.
I will say that John has already put together the skeleton of a plan looking at all the bathrooms in the park. And one of the things that would be wonderful about this approach that he's come up with is that we could perhaps get bids for redoing cosmetic overhauls, multiple bathrooms that could reduce the overhead costs and create sort of an overall standard of care. And that is absolutely something that we could look at a public-private partnership for, some city dollars potentially going towards it and some on the Conservancy side.
What was the number you said? Okay.
We don't have a number yet, but we're looking at ways that we can spread the I was likening it to, if you were renovating the bathroom in your private residence, it wouldn't be $10 million. So we're looking at an economy of scale, offering a contractor the opportunity to do multiple bathrooms could perhaps bring that cosmetic changes that are needed down to something and make it easier and something that could be applied across all of the restrooms. Sort of, I think a very novel approach that John has come up with to get around this like big nut of we don't have $10 million for a bathroom and we have 10 bathrooms that really need an overhaul.
Yeah.
So how can we, do something for all of them in a way that makes it more manageable?
Yeah.
So we'll be coming back, I'm sure. With
Yeah, thank you. We look forward to that presentation.
Natasha,
Bathroom. Yes.
I just want to
Alex?
flag that Peter Arnston has his hand raised.
Oh, of course. Go ahead, Peter.
Unmute. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
no.
Go ahead, Peter. Oh, he's muted. I think you're muted now, Peter.
Peter, you just remuted yourself.
Okay, now I think I'm unmuted. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. I just wanted to thank you for maintaining the dinosaurs. They've been there for decades, and I know it can't be an easy thing, but so many people appreciate them, and they really are a attraction. So wanted to just say how important it is to maintain the play structures, and they really are pieces of art. So thanks.
Well, actually, they are pieces of art. We've been in touch with the original artist who now lives upstate, and she has grandchildren in the area. And she's very happy to hear that we're going to be retaining them and actually refinishing them for installation in the newly designed playground.
Got it. Well, thank you so much. I don't know if what's happened with the hippos. Are they in Hippo Park? I realize that's off topic, so I can deal with that later. But that artist is gone. He died, and but his work is really worthwhile. So just wanted to again say thank you.
Thank you. I think with that, we can lay this to bed. Is that correct? Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for. Oh, hi.
Hi, I'm so sorry. I'm Shula from Councilmember Gale.
Hi, how are you?
So sorry I'm late.
No.
Way too much. I just had a really quick question. We showed Margaret before, and I wasn't sure if some of the cards had another answer. Gail's really excited about all of this. We're very excited.
Can you come closer to the mic?
Sorry. Sorry. No. Hi, I'm Shula from Councilmember Brewer's office. Thank you to everyone, also for everyone here. One quick question we still had, and I know Margaret, I'll follow up with Steve, is just if there's an estimate for how much it would cost, let's say the big amazing renovation of the bathroom, but also maybe perhaps something more, let's say, practical or more immediate that could be done, and what the budget for that would be. We went to I myself went to the women's bathroom. There's like a toilet missing, and so we understand it can't be, and it's not part of the current scope, but we definitely think it would impact the usability and also just people staying longer in the space, they don't have to go look for a bathroom. So if we could have that number, that would be really great. I know it's like one of the #1 participatory budgeting projects right now that's been suggested based on just popular support. So it'd be great if you could have just maybe a couple of different budgets that we could work together with all of you in the Conservancy and see how we might be able to address that. That's all. So sorry I was late, but thank you so much for the moment.
Hi, Shula. Thank you. That's exactly what we're trying to come up with.
Thank you. Okay. Great, perfect. Sorry about.
Yeah, do you know there?
Okay, yeah, it's funny not.
And they're working on, and we expect DPR and Riverside Park Conservancy to come back hopefully sooner rather than later with a restroom presentation.
Thank you so much.
With more specific numbers. All right, anybody else with any questions? Okay, so thank you everybody from DPR, from Riverside Park Conservancy, and everybody else. Thank you for coming. We're now going to move on to item number 2 on our agenda, which is the trash containerization project proposed by the Department of Sanitation. I believe Marissa Yanni is here from DSNY.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Hi.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. I'm just going to share my screen real quick, and I have a pretty short presentation for you. Let's make sure that that works. Can you see the presentation? Sorry, everything's all over the place. Can you guys see it?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, I just want to be sure. Click. Okay. So, like I said, my name is Marissa Yanni. I'm the Manhattan Community Affairs Liaison for the Department of Sanitation. Just going to go through a quick kind of overview of the commercial containerization rules that are in effect and a rule that goes into effect starting March 1st. So just to talk about, we love this little picture of the rat. We are committed, of course, to having a cleaner, less cluttered New York City and improving the quality of life for all New Yorkers except the rats. Containerization is going to help get rid of all those big plastic bags, especially in Manhattan. I think you will see it the most because of the larger buildings and just the large concentration of businesses in the neighborhoods. So between commercial containerization efforts and sweeping new residential rules, we're going to have 70% of the city's trash is headed into containers. So we're pretty excited about that. Bins with secure lids will make it harder for rats to find food. So we're hoping this will help, of course, so that rats don't have to just easily go through a plastic bag, make it a little harder for them. And hopefully this will stop them altogether because they won't smell it as much, as there won't be any of that liquid kind of that you get. We call it, you know, like the hopper juice, but you know, like the liquid that comes out of your garbage, they won't be able to smell that, won't be able to really get onto that. So it will be nicely put in these beautiful bins. Okay, fine. Getting into commercial containerization rules. So all businesses in New York City must start using labeled bins with secured bins when they're setting out their trash and organics. So this does not apply to recyclables. And this rule is going to go into effect starting March 1st. So I can see in the picture, we have the big bin with the lid, and then all recyclables, including your paper, that can be put in either a plastic bag or like paper in boxes that can be twined together. That's totally fine. So all commercial and containerization, like I said, that's going to start March 1st. That's for every single type of business, regardless of what that business is. They could sell jewelry, they could sell food. We don't care. Whatever you're selling, it has to go, all trash has to go inside a bin. There's a warning period up until April 1st. So we're not going to start enforcement until then. If you know of any businesses during that time, you know, that aren't following the rules, or you think need a little extra TLC, you could, of course, let us know and we'll be able to assist. Food-related businesses, that rule went into effect this past August, on August 1st. So they've been having to, that's not English, but they've had to already put their garbage and organics inside bins. Chain stores, that started on September 5th. So both those type of businesses already started to do that. Now we're just getting into every other type of business that's out there in New York City, regardless of the size, regardless of what they sell. I do not care. All trash has to go inside a covered, lidded bin. This is just how for trash and organic and recyclables. So trash or organic has to go in a container with a secured lid and can be set out up to 1 hour before closing. For recyclables, the container is optional. They're more than welcome to use it. They don't have to. Can be set out up to 1 hour before closing, but recycling in bags has to be set out after 8 p.m. only. So that all just kind of depends on what time the business does close. This doesn't apply to businesses that have waste collected from a loading dock. I don't know how many do in New York City or in Manhattan, but if you see a loading dock, don't get upset with them because they're allowed to put it out in bags still. So food relating businesses, of course, they're the leading generator of food waste and trotting trash in the city. So obviously they're the biggest. Luckily, we already told them they have to put their food in bins. The commercial organics law, this is if a business is already required to separate organics, they're required to containerize waste for collection. It's Monday, it's hard for me today. If they've received a waiver, containerizing their waste is required. And if you have a question about what businesses those are, we can look those up for you. So where do they get bins? Businesses should check with their private waste carder to select the bins that work best for both parties. So technically, the Department of Sanitation, I kind of don't care what bins they're using, as long as they're large, plastic, with a lid, well, they could be metal, whatever. I do not care. Material type is fine, as long as it's closed and that we can't easily get into it, as long as there's no bags popping out of the top. Does not matter to us, because we're not the ones picking it up. So make sure they check. They just have to check with their private carder ahead of time. Where should the bins be stored? So they can be stored inside or in a rear yard if possible. I know it's Manhattan. Nobody really has a rear yard, but let's assume they do. If space is not available, bins can be stored within 3 feet of the building line when not set out for collection. So that's something we're gonna have. Sidewalks are gonna be a little hard to walk down if we're having these bins. And then if people also have their dining structures, just something to keep in mind. And something we're keeping in mind as well of how much space there's actually going to be on the sidewalk for pedestrians, for strollers, for carts, for these big bins, as well as when the bins are out for collection and if there's any dining structures. So we're all going to have to kind of walk sideways, I think, to get down sidewalks, but we're going to be working with businesses on that. And are there any exceptions? Really, no. If there's a mayoral declaration of a health or solid waste emergency, I don't know what that is, but that's a little vague. And if the commissioner determines weather conditions are unfit for use of bins, or if it constitute a public nuisance, the rule for all the businesses hasn't gone into effect yet. So please don't start calling my office saying it's already a public nuisance. Let's give them a little time to try it out, at least till April 1st, and then we can start getting upset. So we'll wait a little bit and then we'll see if they're truly a public nuisance. Just some places where folks can get resources. I don't know if anyone here is a small business owner or works a lot with small businesses. I know this is the Parks and Environment Committee, but just in case, just a couple of links that have there and my 2 interns on the side there. And any questions?
Thank you, Marissa. There are lots of questions.
No.
And I'll come to you. First we go around to the board and then we come to the public. So I think Linda, you had a question.
Marissa, thanks for the presentation. The residential, the bins have been used by the residential, by residences, whether they're multifamily, co-ops, condos, single family for quite a while, correct? So this is
right, but that's not mandatory. So yes, I use a bin in my home, but it's not mandatory at the moment. That rule won't happen until 2025.
We were told by our super in my building, I live in a multifamily, that that was required, and the entire block, which is very difficult to walk on during collection times because I have a narrow street. Every building has these bins. They were told to have them, and they have their addresses written on them. And also, you're telling me that they didn't have to have them until next year?
Yeah, no, that's not a rule at the moment. No, that's not mandatory. Only for commercial. My team is right now just focusing on commercial, but residential, yeah, we haven't been told to even announce that. I mean, it's been announced by the commissioner and stuff, but no, I mean, that's great that you're doing it. I'm happy, but you didn't have to.
Yeah, tickets when we did.
I appreciate you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Avi.
Yeah, hi, thank you for presenting. I have a few questions. The first is, what are the thoughts on the staggered starting times for the different business? Why not just start it all at the same time?
What do you mean the staggered starting time for businesses?
I saw that.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Now I know what you mean. My apologies. Why did we start with food related, then chains, and now all businesses?
Yeah.
Well, one, I think is food related. That's where the most organic material is, and that's where the most food is coming from. So that was a priority first. Chain businesses, I'm not sure why that was next, and now we moved on to all. I would say that that decision was made way over my head. But I would say food related made the most sense because that's where all the food is coming from, and that's what the rats are most attracted to, is the food related businesses. A jewelry store isn't going to have a lot of material or garbage that rats are going to really go to, unless they're fancy.
Yeah. Thank you. The second question is, do the businesses themselves have to purchase the cans, the bins?
Yes, 100%. Yes, we will. We are not buying. We're not giving anybody a bin.
And sorry, and then one last question. Does the sanitation department have like any plan to check if this initiative is successful and it actually is reducing the amount of rats in the city?
Yes, we're working with the rat czar to see. I mean, we can't really do a census of the number of rats. Sorry, the lights went out of my office. Can you give me 1 second? You won't be able to play. Sorry about that. I'm the only person in the building. Well, not the building, but the floor. Sorry about that. So no, well, sorry, yes, we're not really doing a census of the number of rats. I've actually heard the rat czar say that herself, that's pretty much impossible. But seeing wherever rat activity is decreasing, that's definitely something that's on our radar. We're working with the rat czar and Department of Health and Mental Hygiene as well to see where the rat activity is. So I'm hopefully after April or early March when this starts, we'll be able to get a better idea of if all of these measures are really making, how big of a difference it's making. I'm sure it's making a difference.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, go ahead, Barbara.
Thank you. One comment. I'm sort of surprised that you don't have a standardized bin that you're requiring, especially commercial businesses to use, because you see bins that do have covers and they're because they're stuffed. They're raised just a little bit, just enough for a family of rats to get into. That's one thing. So I'm surprised that you don't have something that, first of all, is heavy duty, a weighted top, for instance, and also I'm also surprised that the recycling things don't have to be in a container, because you show a picture here of cans of soda in a recycling thing, and everybody knows that, unless you take the trouble to wash it out, which you are asked to do, but how many people do that? You also see the rats ripping through those things. So I think it's great that something is being instituted, but I don't think it goes far enough.
Thank you for those notes. I appreciate that. I believe it will be different for residential as far as what's being mandated as far as like the style. But for businesses, no, since we don't collect their garbage, again, I don't know the full scope of why we made which decision. That's not super above me. But we don't pick up their garbage, so I don't think we can really say what kind of bin they can or can't use. It does have to be lidded, though. That is something that enforcement agents can give a violation for, or a supervisor can give a violation for that. If it's raised a bit, the lid, if it's overflowing, we can give a dirty condition, or just the way your storage of receptacles, we can give a violation for that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody from the committee online who has a question? Is
Good
there
luck.
anybody?
I would say good luck.
Thank you. Beverly or anybody else? No. Okay. We have some members of the public here in the room. Did you have a question? Yeah.
Yes, hi, I'm Elizabeth Kellner, and I live in a single-family house in Manhattan Avenue. So I was most concerned about the implementation of containerization for the smaller buildings, row houses in particular, which could be single family, 1 units, 2 units, etc. I do have to say, I did not appreciate the comment about having to walk sideways down the sidewalk. As someone who is a senior citizen, who pushes a stroller with grandchildren, who pushes a heavy filled shopping cart, who may be carrying bags, especially on the cross streets, this is going to be a big issue. I am all for containerization. I spend hours every week sweeping up in my neighborhood. James Laspina, the wonderful supervisor, sanitation for Community Board 7, has my phone number. I have his work cell. I talk to him all the time about when the bins are full and when we have problems. I even have a whole container of green sanitation bags that I use when the corner baskets are overflowing. And I realize this is not your issue because this is about commercial. I didn't realize this when I planned to come to this meeting. But throughout the city, in Harlem, in Hamilton Heights, on the Upper West Side, in my neighborhood of Manhattan Valley, in the Village, throughout Brooklyn, there are many narrow single-family houses, 1, 2, 3 units maybe. We don't have custodians, we don't have supers. So who's gonna move these bins out there? Who's gonna bring them back when they're empty? They're gonna be stolen. We have no place to put them. We have no basements. So I talked to my city council member about this in an email, and everyone here on Community Board 7 should know that the new chair of the sanitation committee of the city council is Councilman Sean Abreu, who represents the northern end of Community Board 7. And he has been very much on top of these issues. But I just urge you at DSNY to give special consideration to the unique situation presented by smaller buildings that could be only 15 or 18 feet wide, especially on cross streets. I have lots of neighbors who are expanding their tree pits to put in plantings in support of resiliency. So there's just less and less sidewalk to walk down. So I just wanted to raise that issue. Thank you. I don't expect an answer, just wanted to put it out there.
Thank you for coming in person to let us know about all this. Thank you. Anybody over here? Any comments?
No, just one quick thing, and I'll send Marissa an email tomorrow. It would be great. This was so informative that we could add it to our e-newsletter, so that we can share it out with folks. You guys always have such great outreach, but we can further echo it also, and people also can know what's coming down the pipeline, in the next months ahead too. So I'll send you an email today.
I think I think you had a question.
I have a couple of questions.
Yeah. Questions.
Thank you so much for the presentation. I just had a few follow-up questions. I just wanted to understand what portion of the garbage in New York City is commercial versus residential. And then the other question I had was, if the commercial part is primarily taken care of by private carters and the bins are provided by the private carters, do you have any say in mandating the type of bins, where they should be placed and all this other stuff? Or how much leverage or coverage do you have over the commercial side versus the residential side?
Sorry, 1 second. I'm looking up your first. Looking for a number. There's about 100,000 commercial businesses in New York City. How much waste is that? There's 14 million tons of waste every year. Oh, about 14 million tons by commercial businesses. That's not, don't quote me, but I know I'm being quoted. I do not have that answer off the top of my head, how much waste is commercial compared to residential. For your second part of your question, you were saying so no, we're not telling them what type of bin to get because we don't collect the garbage or the material ourselves. But Department of Sanitation, we provide enforcement for commercial businesses. And let me know if I'm not answering your question at all. We provide enforcement. So if it's a dirty area, dirty condition, dirty sidewalk, if they're obstructing the sidewalk, if 18 inches into the street rule, which is also part of dirty condition, improper disposal, what's the other one? Receptacle placement. That is all things we can give violations for a commercial business. But am I missing a part of your question? I apologize.
No, that's good. I was just wondering if you can actually mandate that the bins be a certain size, that the bins, just because if there is the carters or the commercial side have free reign, as long as they fit within it, you really do have a huge host of different types of material and bins out there that could become a problem down the road because nothing is consistent. So I'm just wondering if now is the time for you guys to be able to step in and, kind of put, restrictions around certain things that can be sold or put, in place.
I do not believe we have the power to tell them what type of bins they have to use. That is my understanding. We do not have that power or that mandate.
Having run the Columbus Avenue bid for 20 years, I can tell you that almost all the bids are very involved with sanitation, because when people put their garbage out and they put it out early, it makes the avenue totally unsightly.
Yeah.
And so for the Columbus Avenue bid, I can't speak for now, but as of 2 years ago, we were very, very concerned and made sure that, people didn't clean up their area, or if they put it out too early, you're not allowed to put it out too early for commercial garbage. I think it was 2 hours before pickup, or when your store closes and not before. And there are issues, a lot of issues, because like on Columbus Avenue, the storefronts are quite shallow and quite small. And having to store those containers is the same problem that homeowners have, individual homeowners. So it's an issue, and I don't really see it solved this way.
Yeah.
With the city's.
Yeah.
The DSNY was planning on curbside pickup. I know it's years down the road with these incredible trucks that would grab them from the curbside, and that was a whole other plan, but I know that's different than this. But it will be a solution to blocking sidewalks with these huge containers, which, by the way, mine are already blocked with these huge containers. So, right.
I had a few questions. Marissa, it's really nice to see you. The last time Marissa and I met, we were on a rat walkthrough of the Upper West Side with the Brewers. So this is slightly more pleasant. So if you could just share the presentation with us, I think it's a very useful presentation. We can put it up on RCB7 website. And you had said that it's actually the business owner's responsibility to bear the cost of the bins. Have you found that to be like a barrier? Do you think there would be better adoption if there was some subsidy?
I haven't heard any complaints. Again, the full rule doesn't go into effect till March. We do have a whole team that deals with commercial waste, the Bureau of Commercial Waste. But my team has just been tasked with letting everyone know about the rule. But I personally, being out in the community and doing all these meetings, I have not heard of any complaints yet. I'm sure I will March 5th after the rule goes into effect. I'm sure we will, but we've never provided bins for businesses. So regardless, they had to do, we never picked up the garbage. We never provided them with anything. So I'm hoping they folks realize, this was always always their responsibility. But of course, I'm sure in March we'll have more of that discussion with folks. But as of yet, I've yet to hear that complaint.
Yeah, and just to clarify, these bins, they're supposed to go on the sidewalks, not on the street. Correct?
Right, curbside, as close to the as close to the curb as possible. Correct.
Okay, and what exactly is the enforcement? What exactly is the penalty for non-compliance?
Sorry, I didn't have that in front of me. But give me a minute and I'll find it. I can answer your next question. I apologize. I don't have the penalties in front of me, but I think I know where it is.
No, I think somebody already asked you earlier about any results that you could share so far of like the progress that you've had, any changes positive that you've seen. It seems like you don't have that kind of data right now.
No.
Okay.
I'm just thinking residential will be $50 fine in 2020, this year in the fall.
Okay.
Natasha, there's a question in the Q&A. Someone wrote in the public, and they asked,
okay.
they asked, what about food carts? I guess asking if they have to do containerization, particularly adjacent to the Museum of Natural History.
Food carts.
I cannot answer any question about street vendors at this moment, and I apologize for that. That is not prepared to speak about street vendors. So I will not be able to answer anything about them today. We have received a lot about the vendors around the Museum of Natural History, but I apologize. I won't be able to answer anything about that.
Well, isn't there considerable controversy about how to, what kind of enforcement and with what scope for street vendors? It seems to be making more than the local newspapers, at least as I read them, not my expertise, but I have noted it taking up considerable amount of time and rancor.
Yep. I just can't answer anything about.
No, I'm not saying, Marissa, not at all, but it's definitely important and out there.
Yep.
Yeah.
We have a team working on it.
It does go together with proposed rules to expand the number of street vendors legally in various neighborhoods. So it goes together as there is the movement to increase the numbers of street vendors in the city.
Thank you, Ethel. It's just that street vendors are not the topic of conversation.
No,
tonight.
I know, but someone just brought it up, so I'm simply saying that, of course.
Okay. Marissa, going back to the enforcement, I think somebody here said it's what, $50 for the
For residential, it says cost no more than $50 for the most common size. That's what it said. Official NYCP.
Commercial is more, and if you don't apply, a second offense is double.
It
Goes
goes
up,
over
goes up,
men's waste, yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Can I answer the question?
Yes.
All right, so all set out violations are subject to fines of $50 for a first offense, $100 for a second offense, and $200 for third and subsequent offenses within a 12-month period. This includes setting out too early, improper, insufficient bins, and failure to store bins properly.
All right. We're looking forward to this, to cleaner streets and fewer rats.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your work.
Thank you.
If no other questions, have a great night, everybody. Thank you so much for having me tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. Please come back in person.
They're all, they're putting out so that's why I'm confused. But every building on my block, I'm between down and Broadway in the morning, about the dogs have they're understanding
Residential.
Has to do it now with my understanding too, no, but it's all 2024, maybe they're doing specifically.
Yeah, maybe they're, anticipation of it.
And I spoke with Dr. Sheffer, because I with them with conversation for sanitation people, and it's about these, they're huge.
Yeah. Okay.
And they all said,
All right, I think we will move on to our last item of the evening, which is an update on Lincoln Center. So I think Kyle is from Lincoln Center to provide us with an update. Welcome.
Thank you, and hello to everybody, and happy 2024. I'm the only thing standing between you and the end of this meeting. So happy to present here. Let me just pull this up. Just let me know if you can see this. All right, so good evening, everybody. For those who I have not met, my name is Kyle Athayde, and I am the lead of community affairs at Lincoln Center for the Performing Arts. Last June, our team presented at the full board meeting of Manhattan Community Board 7 to share about the start of a public engagement process to make the Amsterdam Avenue side of our campus more welcoming and accessible. And so tonight I'll be sharing our progress from the past 6 months and some important updates as we move forward. Since I see some new faces in the crowd, to begin, I want to share just a quick refresher of the inspiration and the intent of this work. Over the last 5 years, Lincoln Center has focused on forwarding the arts, and this can be seen through the renovation of David Geffen Hall and introducing innovative programs like Choose What You Pay. At the same time, we've done a lot of work to better understand our historical context, our site conditions, and engagement with our communities to create a more equitable and inclusive future. And as part of this self-reflection, we are engaging with our history of urban renewal. We're uplifting and celebrating the cultural legacies of San Juan Hill and the Lincoln Square neighborhoods. And we began this process to make our campus more welcoming and accessible. So to provide some context, I want to just kind of show what we'll be talking about. These are the existing conditions on the west side of our campus. And to just kind of zoom in, at the top right is 62nd and Amsterdam Avenue, where this public parking sign is. And on the top left is 65th and Amsterdam. And this is everything else that's in between over the 62nd to 65th Street on Amsterdam Avenue. And right here is an aerial view of Damrush Park, and this is actually where the process begins. And that's why we're also briefing the Parks Committee on this, so that we can actually collaborate at the beginning of the process. So just to ground us in this work, in the first half of the 20th century, the area now home to Lincoln Center was actually a vibrant community known as San Juan Hill. It was a vibrant working class neighborhood with a significant Black and Puerto Rican population. And when Lincoln Center and other neighboring institutions were built as part of the Robert Moses-led Lincoln Square Urban Renewal Plan, much of the existing San Juan Hill and Lincoln Square neighborhoods were razed. And from the site of the future Lincoln Center alone, more than 1,600 families were displaced from their homes. And to uplift this story, we created a microsite, which is lincolncenter.org/legacies of San Juan Hill. So please check that out if you have not already seen that. And that website is to honor those who lived, worked, and created in these neighborhoods. And the original process that created the campus architecture sent and continues to send a message of exclusion along Amsterdam Avenue, most directly to Amsterdam Houses and Amsterdam Addition, which are right across the street. And as you can see here, we see some of the activism that took place at the top left. We see some protests. On the bottom row, we see some of the musicians, including Thelonious Monk, who is from the neighborhood, Arturo Schomburg on the top. And if you can see the top right, that's the Colonial Theater. That's actually where the atrium is currently situated. So as you walk around this neighborhood, you can kind of see what was. And then in addition to the social and cultural legacy, it is important to understand the architectural history as well. So we have from our archives, one of the original sort of sketches of Damrush Park, which was completed in '69 as part of the complex. So to the process, we began this process to hear from the community. And we began this public engagement process in June of 2023, as you can see from the calendar, to hear from the public about their experiences with Lincoln Center's built environment and to hear about general ideas and issues. So we began this timeline again in June of 2023, and it included a wide mix of engagement opportunities, including a public survey that continued throughout the summer. We had public pop-ups, which are highlighted here, on and off campus to learn more about the process and for people to be able to share input. We also held interviews, focus groups, and workshops. And so throughout the summer and fall of 2023, we received 2,200 completed surveys, 1,500 pop-up interactions, over 20 interviews, and 5 focus groups. And as you can see on the screen here, some of the main takeaways from these interactions included that the wall is a barrier of entry for the surrounding community. It literally looks like Lincoln Center is turning its back on anywhere west of the Amsterdam Mall. And there's no curb appeal. The entire Amsterdam Avenue side should be grand and artistic, befitting of Lincoln Center and its status in the world of arts. This is actual feedback that we received from the public. And so we distilled all of that information and we created several values that form the foundation for this planning process. Of course, we want to be serving the community, but in particular, people felt that Damrosch should be welcoming, it should be arts focused, it should be flexible, and it should be designed for the widest range of users. And here's some additional comments that we received from the public, which emphasize those points. So as we continued from the summer into the fall of 2023, on November 1st, we welcomed approximately 7 members of the public. These individuals were neighborhood residents, NYCHA residents, advocates, preservationists, building managers, arts lovers, and of course, community board members. Participants were broken out into 19 small groups, each collaborating on a shared vision for Damrosch Park. The discussion groups focused on perimeter access to the space, seating, food, comfort stations, public art, and a wide variety of other amenities. And everybody who was there expressed that they were extremely engaged and overwhelmingly felt very happy about the process. And we continued that in December with 2 mini workshops on December 11th and December 12th. On December 11th, we welcomed 69 NYCHA residents at the Lincoln Square Neighborhood Center, and we also hosted 30 students from LaGuardia High School and the MLK Junior Educational Complex in their actual cafeteria, and we held workshops there as well. So from all of these workshops, we got some key learnings. The participants reiterated that an Amsterdam Avenue entrance should be welcoming. It should look like a formal entrance and be a place of gathering. The park should also be bringing people together. It should be green and inclusive park for the community to rest, play, and gather. And last but not least, obviously, the performing arts should be the focus of this space as well, with food for comfort. And so where we are now, for the past 6 months, we have been collecting and synthesizing data, and we're now entering the participatory design process. So to continue the conversation with the community, we will be hosting a participatory design workshop at Lincoln Center on Monday, March 4th. So circle that on your calendars. And at that same time, we will be launching a new survey specific to design elements. And as part of this process, as always, we will continue to update the community board throughout the process. And then I just want to thank everybody on this committee, on this full board. As someone who's part of my own community board, I greatly respect the time and dedication that you have into all elements of this community. We saw many tonight as well. So we're very happy to be working with you and communicating with you, and we understand how important accurate and reliable information and transparency is. So I continue to encourage you to go to our website, lincolncenter.org/planning process, which includes event schedules and updated information. And we have our planning process at lincolncenter.org email address, where you're always free to send us input, questions, comments, things of that nature. So thank you again. And if there are any questions, I'll answer them now.
Sure. Anybody in the room? Yeah.
Just a quick question, Cal. What time is the March 4th workshop? How long is that?
It'll be in the evening, 6 p.m. And we'll send you more information as we get closer to that date. I'm obviously letting you know because I'm here, but we'll be creating outreach materials for that so that you can sign up and participate and share with
anybody. Oh yeah, Barbara.
Kyle, bravo. I'm so happy that you're moving forward with this project, and I just applaud everything that's being done about time. Really glad that they're doing it. I had a question. It's not exactly related. I hope it's okay. Is it okay? There used to be a schedule one could pick up of rehearsals at Philharmonic Hall and things like that were open to the public at no cost. And I know that Lincoln Center's been making a real effort to invite people at either no cost or low cost to a lot of the performances and things. But do you happen to know if that is still available, and if so, where I could find it? Maybe online.
Yeah, so each of the constituent organizations, have their own schedules for how that operates. As you mentioned, we have a lot of free schedules as well. But I will highlight as part of this, as part of our accessibility programming, actually, we have a program called Relax Performances, where you can actually come and watch the rehearsals for a lot of these performances. And that's part of our passport for the arts programming as well, that has a wide variety of opportunities. And I can send those links to the office after to share with you. But yeah, we have a wide variety of ways that are some are traditional, and then some are some of the new innovative ways that we've been working on engaging people in our performances and public spaces.
Yeah, that's right. That would be great. Thank you.
Yeah. Do you? Okay. Anybody from the community board online who may have a question or comment? Okay, anybody any member of the public online who may have a question or
hands raised or questions.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just saying that there aren't any hands raised from the public.
Okay. Did you have any questions? I don't. I just had I guess it's a very basic question. Maybe I should know this already. But can you clarify what part of the entire complex is parkland and what part is
Let me pull
not?
the up again just so I can go to that slide. So I'll go to the area. So this area right here that we're looking at, so everywhere that has trees is Damrush Park. So that's the area that we're discussing.
Okay, and the rest of Lincoln Center, that's privately owned, I guess.
So we're a mix, right? The whole campus is a mix. This particular area, Damrush Park, is part actually of the New York City Public Parks Department. When Lincoln Center was created and established over those years, we had an agreement because we're the ones who maintain it year round. So that's why Parks Department is one of our partners in this process as well. But we maintain it and operate it, but it is officially part of New York City Public Parks Department.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay, thank you. Thank you for clarifying. I don't see any other questions, but thank you so much for coming tonight. And we look forward to hearing from you about March 4th and any other time that you want to come back for another update. We would be happy to have you. Thanks.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, and it's a pleasure to be working with all of you. And yeah, you'll continue to see me at committee meetings and the full board meetings, obviously, for our updates or more general updates. And hopefully we'll see all of you at the March 4th workshop. And we feed people, so please come and enjoy the activities as well. So what else do you ask for, right? All right, well, everybody.
Thank you. Have a good night. I just wanted to ask if anybody had any old business. No. I did have an update about some old business. In the beginning of December, Central Park Conservancy hosted the co-chairs of the parks committees that surround the park to give just some very high-level updates on certain issues. And there were topics that were chosen by the Conservancy that are, I guess, hot button topics right now. There's the issue of pedicabs. A lot of them are not licensed or insured. They harass tourists at entry points to the park. They do not display their rate cards properly and end up charging hundreds of dollars to unsuspecting tourists. And they also play loud music, which is not allowed in the park. Central Park
boosters too.
And have boosters, which is also not allowed.
Yeah.
So the Parks Department and CPC, their goal is for a better regulated fleet through consistent enforcement. That's an issue that they're working on. There was also the issue of the holiday market vendors, which is no longer an issue because the holiday season has gone away. But there was this issue of illegal vendors setting themselves up right next to legal vendors and therefore creating, a lot of lost business for the legal ones. There are also the disabled veteran vendors, the DVVs, which are actually allowed over there. 2 DVVs allowed on each block face on Central Park South. And they can match any legal vending. But there is a lot of controversy surrounding them on Central Park South, and I know also around the Gilder Center, where the license may be held by an actual veteran, but the running of the cart is done by somebody who's not a veteran, and that is not allowed. But that's something that the Conservancy is also aware of, and actually the nearby precinct is also stepping up its enforcement of that. There was also an update on the work at the North Meadow. They had presented this project to us back in 2022, if you remember. And the update is that the work is now being fast-tracked, and the facility will now be entirely closed till the summer. And some of the handball courts will be opened, will be reopened by this summer of 2024. And then there are a couple of pickleball only courts that will open next summer, I believe. So that was a certain change.
The handball courts can also be used as
for pickleball. Yeah.
pickleball too, because they're designed that way.
Yeah, they're painted that way. The CPC runs a 5-borough program where it lends its own resources like landscapers, tree care, turf maintenance to other city parks. And the good news is that this program has just been expanded from 8 people to 15. So a lot of the parks, some of the parks that they provide support to are like Highbridge or Morningside Park that really need the help. And one last item that they talked about was Central Park North and 110th Street, which is an area of concern from a personal safety point of view. They said that there's a lot of drug use and altercations that are reported over there. And in fact, every morning, Central Park Conservancy staff has to go around and pick up needles. There's actually a needle report that is generated every morning. So now the precinct is involved in that also. And they're talking about a community first approach. They didn't give us too many details about that, but they did say that they would come back to all our community boards soon with some sort of a request for support or a resolution also, so that they can sort of clean up that, the northernmost area of the park. And that was it. Those were all the updates, I think.
They also renewed the contract
for
it's a holiday.
The holiday market
with
people.
Urban, I can't remember.
Urban Space or something?
Urban Space. So that's like
another 5-year contract, and apparently it's a well-run nonprofit organization.
It's nonprofit? I don't think Urban Space.
I don't think.
Oh, it is not.
No,
I don't think so.
it's for profit, Urban Space.
Also, this past year, it was like half the size of the way it had for you previous years. It was not very interesting at all.
Okay.
My opinion.
Let's do that.
Personally.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So that was my update on some old. Actually, this was new business. Does anybody else have any new business?
Sorry, the contract for the 5 boroughs program is 10 years too. That's
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Any new business?
On the e-bikes in Central Park on the roadway.
So we expect the Conservancy to come back to us sometime sooner rather than later with like a comprehensive redesign of the drives. That's what they had done, a lot of public outreach. I actually went to one of those meetings back in, I think it was last June. So they've said that they will come back to us and present their findings and their proposals to us.
It's too cold right now for a lot of the riders, but it was really challenging.
Yes.
Scary.
Totally agree. And that was the reason behind this proposed redesign. I have no idea what the redesign would be, but hopefully we'll hear from them soon. Anybody online who has anything to add? Can I get a motion to
Sure.
adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Okay, second, yes. All right, everybody, thank you so much for coming tonight. We will see you at full board, I guess.
Yep.
Thank you, have a good night.
Good night, thank
Stay
you.
warm.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.